Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum everyone. Here we are with lecture number 27 for English Comprehension and Composition. Moving on to one very important aspect of our message composition section in this course. Today we are going to talk about resume and curriculum vitae. You all have heard the name of these two documents. This is a document in which you highlight your achievements, your educational career, your professional experience to present it to an employer where you want to apply for a job. So we are going to talk about what a resume or curriculum vitae is. A resume and curriculum vitae are the same documents. Curriculum vitae is the name in British English and resume is in American English. So tips and guidelines to writing a professional resume. That is also one thing that we are going to talk about today. There are very important professional tips that we have today for you to construct a very good professional resume for yourself. So let's start with discussing what a resume is. Resume or curriculum vitae is a summary of your academic and work history. Your academic history, that is the start of your education till the end, till that present degree that you have, you trace that. And how you do it, we're going to talk about that. And you also trace your work history. What different work experience you have, what are the different employers you have worked with. So this is your summary of your academic and work history. Now these are the possible resume sections that your curriculum vitae or resume can have. Your name, your address, your resume objective, profile or summary of qualifications, employment history, education, skills and activities. Now your name is very important. That should be at the top of your resume. Then your address, of course, because your employer have to contact you through mail or email. Your email address and address both should be there, and of course your phone number. Resume objective is third very important part. No resume is complete without an objective. You have to write an objective why you have written this resume, why you are applying for this job. So that comprehensive, very well written sentence is supposed to be there. Profile or summary of qualifications. Whatever qualifications you have, that is educational qualifications, they are the first ones to be added in your CV. Employment history, wherever you have worked, whether you have worked or not. If you have not, you add your volunteer experience, or just simply say that you have no professional experience. And then education. Education again includes your summary of qualifications, and then skills, whatever skills you have. Sometimes your being computer literate is very important regarding some jobs, and then certain activities that you do, that is supposed to be added. Like there can be hobbies, but it's optional. Some people don't like adding the heading of hobbies in their CVs, but that's totally on you. So these are some possible resume sections that you can add. Now these are the basic resume formats, and this is just a brief introduction. We will come back to these and discuss them in detail along with their samples. Now chronological resume format lists work experience first, and this starts off with your most current job, what job you are doing right now, and then you go downwards. Chronological means according to the sequence of happening, sequence of occurrence. Right now what is happening is that particular job that you are doing right now, so you write that first, and then उससे पहले जो job की वो, फिर उससे पहले जो job की उसके बारे में लिखते हैं. After tracing your work history, the chronological format continues with your education and concludes with your extra skills and interests that may contribute to your ability to perform the job. And then after your work experience, the chronological format continues with your education and then concludes with your skills. This is the sequence. You first talk about your job, then education, and then skills in your chronological resume format. And then the next one is skills format. The skills format begins with a list of skills that relate to the job for which you are applying. The skills resume format is exceptionally useful when, number one, you are applying for a job in a different field than your work experience, and you have large gaps in your work experience, or you have little or no paid work experience. Now, this skills format is very useful when you are applying for a different job than your field. Now, you were an engineer or you were a system engineer in a company, and now you want to become an auditor. So you want to change your field because you have shifted your interest, or you want to learn something new, or you want to get something new challenging knowledge. So you want to change your field, then you have to use the skill format. And then you have large gaps in your work experience. If there had been some kind of mishap, there had been an accident, some family commitment, some traumatic experiences that made you stay away from any work experience for a long time, and there have been gaps, you have to mention that. So that's when you use a skills format. And then number three, you have little or no paid work experience. Now, if you have no work experience, no professional experience, then also you can use a skills format. So skills format is basically good for students because while they are studying, they actually have no work experience. Especially in Pakistan, there are very few students who have some kind of family business that they've been looking after, or maybe they've been working at some places for very short periods of time, but most of them do not have any paid or unpaid work experience. So that's where they need a skills format. And then the last one is basic resume format, a combination or functional format. Now, this is called a combination or functional format because this is a combination of both the earlier resume formats that we talked about. This format is useful in highlighting skills that are relevant for a particular field of work. You highlight the skills. It is best used to demonstrate improvement and achievement within a specific field of work. This kind of resume helps you demonstrate your improvement and achievement within a specific field of work. Now, you've been working in a particular field for a very long time, and you want to highlight that achievement, so you can use both the chronological and skills format and combine it, or a combination or functional format use करके आप वो अपना जो skills का improvement और achievement है वो highlight कर सकते हैं. Now, moving on, these are some guidelines for what to include in a resume by Alison Doyle from about.com guide. Now, this is a very good website or web link, web resource that can help you get very good knowledge about all kinds of technical writing. There can be cover letters, there can be resumes, there can be emails and memos and formal letters and business letters and everything. So whenever you need help, you can go to this web resource and get information from there. When you're writing a resume, there are a number of resume formats you can choose, including chronological, functional, and targeted resumes. Now, these are three different formats that you can choose, and here are some guidelines regarding what to include in your resume. However, regardless of the format of resume you select, there are certain guidelines that most resumes should follow. Now, most resumes look the same, and there are certain guidelines, certain sections, certain parts of resumes that all resumes have. So that is where you need to be very careful about. वो सब चीज़ें आपको पता होनी चाहिए और आपके resume में वो चीज़ें होनी चाहिए, so that you can see whether it's a complete resume or not. Here's information on what to include in your resume, as well as what shouldn't be listed on your resume. What should be there, what shouldn't be there, that's what we're going to talk about now. There are also guidelines for resume length, font, and page margins. And we'll also discuss what is your resume length, possible length कितनी होनी चाहिए, font और page और margins क्या होनी चाहिए, layout वाली बातें भी हम आपको बताएंगे. Resume guidelines. First of all, resume length. your resume should be as concise as possible. 2 pages is the maximum length, but 1 page is preferable. Always try to keep it to 1 page. If it goes over to 2 pages, that's all right. But those zyada pages ka resume is always very tedious to read. Here's more about resume length and how long your resume should be. Font and size. Do not use ornate fonts that are difficult to read. Times New Roman, Arial, Calibri, or a similar font is best. These are the 3 fonts that are best used for official documentation. Arial, Calibri and Times New Roman, or a similar font is best. इनके जैसा कोई और font है तो आप use कर सकते हैं. Your font size should be between 10 and 12 points, although your name and the section headings can be a little larger or bolded. Page margins. The standard page margins in word processing programs are 1-inch margins on the top, bottom and left and right sides of the page. Now all 4 sides should be 1-inch margin. Work for most resumes. However, if you need to tighten the margins to reduce the length of your resume, it's fine to reduce the margins to a 1/2 inch on the sides and top and bottom. Now sometimes just one paragraph or 1 or 2 lines of the resume go to the next page. So to bring that back on 1 page and keep your resume a tight packed piece of information on 1 page, you can drag the margins to 0.5 on all 4 sides as well. That's also acceptable. Layout. However you decide to organize the sections of your resume, be sure to keep each section uniform. For example, if you put the name of one company in italics, every company name must be in italics. Now we are going to look at sample resumes written in this format. If you are listing your work experience and you have listed the name of a company in the first work experience in italics, then all other names of companies are supposed to be in italics. For example, you are listing your educational background and your educational institutions are bolded. All of them should be bolded, not just one. So keep the layout uniform. उसको शुरू से end तक एक जैसा format जो है उसमें रखें. Information to avoid. Some information that you are not supposed to add is: do not include personal information such as birthday, height, weight, marital status, children, etc. unless the position requires it. If the position where you are applying requires your marital status or birthday or height or how many kids you have, only then you specify that. Otherwise there is no need for this piece of information in a CV. Accuracy. Be sure to edit your resume before sending it. Check spelling, grammar, tenses, names of companies and people. Have a friend or career services counselor check over your resume as well. Ask someone to read through your resume, because sometimes there are errors that your eyes cannot see because you have written that yourself. So ask a friend to go through it once, twice at least, so if there are any errors they can be highlighted. Information to include in your resume. These are the sections that we already talked about, but these are going to be discussed in detail now. We have to add an objective. This section is optional. If you decide to include a resume objective, keep it concise and specific. State your desired job or field and what you hope to accomplish in that field. Objective is one very important part of a resume because it is the first part that attracts the attention of a reader. So it is supposed to be very specific, related to the job position that you are applying. So be very, very careful about that. Profile. Another optional section is a resume profile, which includes a summary of your skills, experiences and goals written specifically for a job posting. Now when you are applying for a job, sometimes you divide or summarize the whole of your qualification into a smaller part that is written heading wise. That is called profile. Some jobs require that, so this again is optional. It's not necessary that you add all your information twice. So it's totally on you whether your job opening requires that or not. If it does, then you can add profile, otherwise there's no need to do that. Identification: include your name, address, telephone number and email address at the top of your resume. These are the parts that are first seen on a resume, that are the first and foremost parts on the resume. Use a professional email address, johnsmith@gmail.com rather than soccerlover@hotmail.com. So be very professional about this. This is one important point that employers note about your being passionate about your work, or you're being very serious about it. So don't use such email addresses like Happy Prince and White Horse and all those. Try to make them look very professional with your own name. Now we have education. Include the degrees you have received in reverse chronological order, with the most recent degree listed first. Now chronological order would be according to the occurrence, according to the sequence of happening, and that would be your matriculation and then FA, FSc or intermediate and then BA. But you have to do it in reverse chronological order. That is the most recent degree is supposed to be at the top. This is the most commonly accepted way of expressing your education in CV. Be sure to include the name of each institution, its location and your date of graduation or expected date of graduation. Yes, when you write about your education, always add the institution, its location as well. Now in Pakistan, our institutions are mostly affiliated with the other bigger institutions or universities. For example, if you have done your bachelor's from Punjab University, you have to mention Punjab University and the location from where you did your bachelor's. For example, you did your bachelor's from government college, but the government college is affiliated with Punjab University. So you can mention board and university, you can mention Punjab University, and institution you can mention where you did your bachelor's from. When applicable, include your major or minor fields as well as your GPA and any honors, publications and projects. Now we always have our major or minor subjects when we are studying for a BS or BA degree. So always try to mention those subjects if they are related to your field where you are applying, the job where you are applying, and your GPA as well. And sometimes you also should mention your honors, publications and projects. Unless you're a current high school student, do not include your high school degree. So at a college level, sometimes you ask students to make your resumes, they have to do that sometimes. So what they can do is that they can add their high school degree, but when you are a little older, or intermediate के बाद जब आप अपना resume बना रहे होते तो आप metric से अपनी जो एजुकेशनल क्वालिफिकेशंस है वो शुरू करते हैं, हाई स्कूल जो है वो मेंशन नहीं करते. Here's more information on what to include and how to format a resume education section. The next section that is very important in your resume is experience. Include your work experience in reverse chronological order with the most recent degree listed first. This also is again in reverse chronological order. Whatever work experience, professional experience you have, you are supposed to add it in reverse chronological order, the most recent work experience first. This section can include jobs, internships and volunteer work. High school students might also include clubs and sports teams when applicable. Now when coming to high school students, that is at your level, you may not have a lot of work experience, so try to add any internships or any volunteer work that you have done. If you have done any volunteer work, any helping work in your area, add that. It just simply is not necessary कि सिर्फ jobs हैं, आप उसमें कोई भी internship जो आपने 2 महीने 3 महीने के लिए की हो वो भी आप ऐड कर सकते हैं. इवन आपकी clubs और sports teams की जो membership है उसे भी mention कर सकते हैं. Include the name of the company, the position and dates of employment. Name of the company, position and date of employment is very important. List roughly Three important tasks, accomplishments or skills gained at each job. Use action verbs to describe your achievements. Avoid passive phrases such as responsible for and duties include. Yes, now you have to list three important tasks or accomplishments or skills gained at each job. This is again optional. Some resumes don't carry this, because if you add this and you have been into 3 or 4 different jobs, your resume will get very long. But if you are asked to do that, you can add these. But use action verbs. Don't use passive expressions like this was done and this was included in my duties. Say that what you did, compiled the college magazine, helped or assisted in workshop work. So these are the action words that you are supposed to use. And you can add skills. This is one very important section, but optional again. Include any computer systems with which you are proficient, particularly if they are related to the position for which you are applying. Pick up any particular skills that are related to your job that you are applying, and mention those in the skills section. Include foreign languages with which you are familiar. State both the language and your level of familiarity, beginning, intermediate, proficient and fluent. These are the different levels that you can identify of a language. Of if any foreign language, you know that this is something very important, very relevant, that most employers need. They always look for somebody who is good in 2 or 3 different languages, because sometimes it is required by your job. List any other skills you have that relate to the job but are not included elsewhere in your resume. Try to make your skills always related to the job you're applying. For example, you're applying for a program officer. Of course, a program officer has a lot to do on the internet, exchanging emails and arranging meetings, writing minutes of the meetings, and sending them over to the whole staff, and all these things. So try to mention those. If you have previous experience of that job, mention 1 or 2 points what you have been doing. So this is going to be an added support to your getting that job. Volunteer work is also optional, but it is always good for high school students who can add this as a substitute for their work experience. You can include a volunteer experience section to convey your leadership, communication skills, etc. List the name of the organization, the dates of your volunteer work, and your achievements, what you got, because most of the times volunteer work does not get you any certificate or anything. So you just need to say that you worked with this organization, and from this time, dates, and your achievements. What did you learn? Try to make it more of a passion which you achieved, and it was it enhanced your life experience. So this is going to help you a lot in getting whatever job you are applying. Well, hobbies and interests again are optional. Some people don't believe in adding these 2 aspects in their CV, but it's good that you do. You can also include a section on your hobbies and interests if they relate to the position. For example, if you're applying to work at a sporting goods store, you can include your passion for basketball. Yes, this is important. If your hobbies, any of your hobbies or interests relate to the job you're applying for, you can always add those in your CV. So these were some guidelines on what to include in your CV. These were some very important sections of CV that included your work experience, your objective, profile, identification, education, and we also talked about skills, volunteer work, and hobbies. While trying to make your resume, you should always come back to these documents and draft a rough resume and then make it into a neat. Now moving on to this document, this is a very basic structure of a resume. Looking at this, you can quickly sit down and form a very basic resume at your level, because as a student you might not have a lot of educational background, you may not have worked a lot there might be no paid or work experience, but you can, by looking at this, you can easily develop one or two very good sentences, very comprehensive sections of your resume. There will be just one page resume, but at least there will be one. So with the passage of time, you keep on adding things to it, and after 1 or 2 years, it will be a very comprehensive document. So this document, or in fact guide, has been taken from this link, businessballs.com/curriculum.htm. This document, this link provides you with all the information you need to develop a good CV. So this is just one outline that you have. Your CV is supposed to start off with your name, and your CV should be written at the top, and then you have your name. The PDF version of this CV template is a learning teaching guide, not designed to be changed. Now the free documents for this is available on this link. You can download that, and you can click on these red boxes to delete these and change the written material and according to your need, and write your own CV. This document cannot be changed. Personal profile or personal attributes. First of all, you have to add that. Create 5 to 7 descriptive bullet point phrases that describe your strengths and attributes. Now in personal profile or personal attributes, you have to write 5 to 7 descriptive bullet points phrases that describe your strengths and attributes. For example, you are very good at leading a team. You would add a proficient team leader. Then you are good at organizing events. You will say organizational skills, or possesses good organizational skills, or you can also say if you have been into a lot of volunteer work and you have passion for something like helping the poor or social work, you can add that. These statements should also reflect the personal qualities that the employer seeks, and you should specify 1 or 2 important attributes that that particular position requires. If you are applying for a supervisor of a group of people at an industrial site, then of course your responsibility would be like a leader. You have to divide work. You have to be able to develop a very good relationship with your subordinates, and should be able to be careful about not hurting them in any way, or being able to cater to their needs, or try to solve their issues and problems. So you can add this team leader specific attribute in these 5 to 7 descriptive bullet points if you are applying for such a job. So try to keep these phrases, these bullet points very, very related to what you are applying for, the job that you are applying for. Keep the statements simple and clear. One line for each statement. They should be very simple, very clear. There should be no ambiguity about it, and no repetition. Once you have said one thing in one point, don't try to repeat it in the other one. Use a consistent format and readable typeface. Use professional, concise, intelligent language. Your language is supposed to be very professional, concise, and intelligent, and you have to have a consistent format and readable typeface. That your CV is supposed to be written in a way that it is readable. कोई ऐसा font style use ना करे जो mix up और mashed up सा लगे और उसे समझ में ना आए कि क्या लिखा है. Use good appropriate punctuation. Semicolons are effective for joining word strings. Semicolons are effective for joining word strings. In these sentences, 5 to 7 sentences that you write, you are supposed to punctuate them properly. They are not supposed to be run-on sentences. try not to make them fragments. They should be connected with semicolons and joining word strings also. Ensure you can provide an example at interview for every statement you make on your CV. Now you have to be very careful. Don't be dishonest about it. Be very honest about everything you write in your CV, because they can ask you questions about anything that they want to know. For example, you said you worked with a flood relief organization in Hyderabad, for example, in 2011, last year, when there was a lot of flood. You write it in your CV, but you have not worked there. You just said it, you just wrote it, and during the interview somebody asks you about it, and you are not able to justify that, so that will give the interviewer a very bad impression of your discretion, your honesty, or your being truthful to yourself and to others. So वहाँ पर ही आप job जो है वो lose कर देंगे. Examples and guidelines for these sections are at this link. You can always go back and check and develop your own CV. Personal profile is you as a person. This part, personal profile, is you as a person. Experience, specialisms, strengths are your capabilities. Make all points very relevant to the job employer needs. Now try to add whatever you have in your mind, but that too should be related to the employer's needs. What they want is more important, because that's according to which they are going to choose you for this job. Experience, specialisms and strengths. Create 5 to 7 statements which explain your experience, strengths and specialisms. Now in experience you can add your work experience or regarding this particular job, what you have gained, any special attribute that you have, or any strength that you have. If you can meet deadlines, that's a very good strength. If you can write well, if you are good at composing business letters. Some people are very good at editing documents in very quickly. Some people are good at typing up documents. Some people are good at filing up, or some people are good at documentation of things that is being done. Some people are very, very efficient at organizational skills. They can arrange and manage events and parties and workshops and seminars and conferences. So these are the strengths that somebody can have. So try to identify those in your personality, in your work experience, and write 5 to 7 professional statements about those. Think about what the employer is seeking and try to match these requirements to those. Just see what your employer needs. These days when you see these job advertisements in the newspapers, there is a long list of skills that are required. That always look at that list very carefully and try to match your knowledge with those. If 1 or 2 match, that is very good. Try to add those here. Your statements here should be examples, evidence of how you fit the needs of the job. You can give examples about your experience, about any strengths that you have, and that fit to what the job is about. Statements can describe experience, skills, strengths, knowledge, style and attitude. They can be your experience, any skill that you acquired, any strength or knowledge, or with which style you got it, or your attitude. It can be very aggressive, very passionate about whatever you were working for. So you can always add these things in your these 5 to 7 statements. Now moving on to achievements, these points build evidence and credibility. Relate them to the job requirements. They need not all be work-based. They can be from other activities, but most show you can't make a difference relevantly, but must show you can make a difference. Now these are evidence and credibility that you have achieved what the job requires. So relate them to the job requirements, and these must show that you can make a difference if you are selected for this job. So be very specific about these. Create 3 to 7 professional statements which describe your achievements. Show achievements that best illustrate your capabilities relevant to the needs of the new job. Show achievements which demonstrate that you could make a difference relevantly in the job. Now you are supposed to illustrate your capabilities that are related to the job, and make the other person believe that you can make a difference. What can you give extra to this job? That's what you have to prove here. Achievements need not be work related, especially for young people with little work history. Now with young people like you who are still studying and after some time might be looking for an internship or for a job, उसके लिए आपको CV लिखना पड़ेगा. So आपके लिए achievements का section जो है वो सबसे ज़्यादा important होगा, because they may not be work related. They can be any achievements. You helped your teacher organize an exhibition in the class. So that was that is your achievement. You helped organize or manage or coordinate a charity event, a charity variety show in your school, which earned money to be given to a particular charity. That is your achievement. You helped organize a soccer match, a cricket match, or a kabaddi match. That is again your achievement. So it is not necessarily work related with young people. So you can add these here. Importantly, give scale, facts, figures to your achievements. Be concise and specific. Always tell the other person the date and time and event which helped you achieve whatever you achieved. Career history, this is how you go about it. You talk about the time, month, year to this month year. For example, you worked from January 2011 to March 2012 at a place. तो वो आप लिखेंगे यहाँ job title, उसमें फंक्शन आपका क्या था और रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटीज़ क्या थी, एंड देन द एम्प्लॉयर एंड द सिटी who employed you, that means where you worked, and the city, industry or sector, that you also have to mention. और इसमें आप इसी तरह 1 by 1 bulleted points में लिखते हैं, और लेकिन सबका लेआउट शुरू से आखिर तक यही रहता है. मंथ, ईयर, देन जॉब टाइटल, फंक्शन, रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटीज़, एम्प्लॉयर, सिटी एंड इंडस्ट्री और सेक्टर. Education and qualifications, school, college, dates, qualifications. Briefly list your past jobs, employers, industry and month, year from to most recent first. Layout in neat columns ideally. Briefly state responsibilities if not self-explanatory from the job titles. Insert education, hobbies, interests, personal and contact information. Make details neat, concise and relevant to the job opportunity. Now this part is very important, as you have to be very specific about certain details. You have to lay out all information in neat columns. You have to provide correct dates and briefly state your responsibilities. Sometimes the job title tells us what the responsibility is. For example, assistant professor, a lecturer, we know उसके नाम से पता चल रहा है कि उसकी responsibilities क्या हैं. Now when you say program officer, sometimes you have to mention कि वो क्या काम करते हैं. So if it is not self-explanatory by the title, always add 1 or 2 job responsibilities. And you can also include education, hobbies, interests, personal and contact information. Education and qualification में आपके पास school, college, क्या क्या आपने अटेंड किया उसकी डेट्स आ जाती हैं. देन यू हैव हॉबीज एंड इंटरेस्ट्स. शो हॉबीज, इंटरेस्ट्स इंडिकेटिंग पर्सनल क्वालिटीज दैट आर रेलिवेंट टू द जॉब रिक्वायरमेंट. फॉर एग्जांपल, somebody is applying for a physical training teacher. They can always indicate which sports they are interested in, which sports they've been playing during their school or college. So that's one important interest or hobby that is related to the job they're applying for. Personal details, if you prefer, show your contact details under the heading at the top of the CV. Now nowadays most professional CVs have all their contact information at the top, and that's where it is visible, it is known to everyone who gets the CV. So it is always easier for the person to be identified. To make more space, reduce font size in CV to 9 or 10 points. points. In the CV, it's not necessary for you to have a 12-point font size. It can be 9 or 10. Continue on a second page if really necessary. One page is best, especially if you are young and have less information to include. Add date, reference and page number if more than one page. Bottom right of CV, or if space is very tight, in a vertical text box as shown below in this exam. You can do this like this, जो यहाँ पे इस page पे हुआ है. You can add a reference, date and page if it is more than one page, but it's not necessary. If you want to do it, you can always go about it. For young people like you who are still studying, who have just started studying, this is the best way to form a CV that is just one page, because you don't have a lot of information to include. CV is not judged by its being on 5 or 7 pages. It is judged by being it's more communicative, by its being more of an expressive form of your own personality, rather than having 3 or 4 pages. If it's one page and it tells everything about you very correctly, very honestly, it's the best CV. So in personal details, you need to add name, address, phone numbers, email, date of birth. That too is optional. If it is required, only then you add it. Marital status is optional. Dependents, it's optional. Some United Nations jobs have these fields जो कि आपको देनी होती हैं. Driver's license number, reference are available on request. You can always say references are available on request. It's not necessary to add the names of references in your CV. References जब वो मांगे तो आप दे सकते हैं. So this was a very interactive, good guide for you to consider when you are making a CV for yourself at this point in time, because this is one template that would help you develop a one-page communicative CV जो कि as a student आपको बहुत help करेगा. अगर आप अभी एक CV बना के अपने मेल बॉक्स में सेव कर लें और with time आप उसमें changes करते रहें, that would be a lot easier as compared to making one full-length CV after 5-7 years जब आप किसी job के लिए apply कर रहे हो. Now these are some top 10 resume writing guides, resume writing tips, advice and suggestions. Now while you are developing a CV for the first time, those who have already have a CV and they just need changes, they are quite like it's easier for them to change and put more information into one field and either totally delete one field and add more, or उसको change करने में उनको problem नहीं होगी. But those who have not written a CV at all, they'll be needing a lot of guidance, and the previous handout that we talked about had very communicative guides, and then it gave you a link which can help you provide a template जिसके अंदर आप changes करके अपना एक बहुत अच्छा CV बना सकते हैं. Now we'll talk about top 10 resume writing tips that will help you enhance or improve the condition, the layout, look of your CV. Need help creating or updating your resume? It certainly can be complicated because your resume is going to be reviewed by software as well as by hiring managers. Now your resumes mostly are placed in softwares where they are judged, and hiring managers also look at them. Review these top resume tips for choosing a resume format, selecting a resume font, customizing your resume, using resume keywords, explaining employment gaps, and more tips for writing interview winning resumes. Now a resume's most important purpose is to win an interview. Why do we need an interview? To get a job. So for that you write a resume. So whatever you write in a resume is supposed to be a step towards trying to grab an interview, an opportunity of talking to the employer. Once they look at your personality in the form of a paper that is your resume, they would definitely want you to be in front of them. They would definitely want to meet you. So make your resume as interactive, as passionate as possible, so that they want to call you for an interview. Number 1, choose a basic font. When writing a resume, it's important to use a basic font that is easy to read, both for hiring managers and for applicant management systems. Now, there are online applicant management systems in which all the data is put on the computer and it is processed. So try to make your CV as comprehensive as possible. उसमें बहुत बेसिक और आसान फॉन्ट इस्तेमाल करें ताकि जब वो एप्लीकेंट मैनेजर सिस्टम्स में जाए तो वहाँ भी बहुत अच्छी तरह से जज हो और मैनेजर्स के हाथ में टेबल पर इंटरव्यू टेबल पे भी पड़ा हो तो वो बहुत अच्छी तरह से समझ में आए. Include all your contact information. It's important to include all your contact information on your resume so employers can easily get in touch with you. Include your full name, street address, city, state and zip, home phone number, cell phone number and email address. This is very important. These are all the pieces of information that you need to include in your CV. And never miss out contact information because that's the only link between you and your prospective employer. Include resume keywords. Your resume should include the same keywords that appear in job descriptions. Now, when you look at a job description, try to pick up any one phrase or sentence from there and slightly rephrase it to make resume objective for your resume. So that will definitely bring a lot of interest of the hiring managers or your prospective employers, that they would be happy to see that what they require in the job application, job post is what your resume starts off with. So that is going to be a kind of a nail at the right spot that would hit them and they will be interested. That way you will increase your chances of your resume matching available positions and of you being selected for an interview. Now, if you are sending out your resume for all possible positions that you have seen in a company, so they would definitely read that objective and see which category do you match and then put you there, put your CV in that category, and there will be a fair chance that you will get selected for an interview. Choose the right resume format. There are several basic types of resumes used to apply for job openings. Depending on your personal circumstances, choose a chronological, a functional, combination or a targeted resume. Take time to customize your resume. It's well worth the effort. Always take some time, take out 4 or 5 hours a day or 2 or 3 days out of your schedule to spend on your resume and make it or change it into a good presentable form, because that is well worth the time, because afterwards you will get an interview because of this little piece of paper, and if it is written in a proper format in a very communicative way, you will get there is a very good chance that you get an interview and then you get selected for the job. Prioritize your resume content. It's important to prioritize the content of your resume so that your most important and relevant experience is listed first, with the key accomplishments listed at the top of each position. Now, it is always good to prioritize it. The best way to do this is that you write everything first, like kind of pre-writing. You list down all your achievements and then pick out some most important ones that would come in the beginning of your resume, so that when somebody is reading right in the first 2 or 3 sections, they get to know who you are and what type of person you are, whether you are fit for this job or not. And so prioritizing your resume content is very important. Write a custom resume. It definitely takes more time to write a custom resume, but it's worth the effort, especially when applying for jobs that are a perfect match for your qualifications and experience. Now, a custom resume means a resume that totally matches your qualification and experience. And to do that, you need a little bit of time. You might already have a resume, but you need to change it or kind of totally change it to a different document. So that needs time. वो करने के लिए आपको थोड़ा सा टाइम निकालना पड़ेगा अपनी रूटीन में से. whether you're a student or a professional, you have to sit down and see what changes your resume requires. Tailor your resume objective. If you include an objective on your resume, it's important to tailor your resume objective to make the job match the job you're applying for. As I just said, that looking at the job opening on the website or in the newspaper, you should pick up a very important piece of information from there. What do they actually require? What are the requirements of that job? कभी कुछ job openings में requirements bulleted points में लिखी होती, वहाँ से 2-3 important phrases choose करके आप एक अच्छा सा objective बना सकते that can match your job qualification, and your CV could be a very attractive one for the reader. And that again, starting off with a resume objective that is very well written, very specific, very focused and clear, would definitely earn you a good interview. The more specific you are, the better chance you have of being considered for the job you are interested in. Of course, you have to be very specific, very focused regarding your resume objective. Tweak for technology. In this competitive job-seeking environment, job seekers need to make sure that their resume stands out from the pack, is selected by talent management systems, and shows in a professional, no-nonsense way that the applicant has taken the time and interest to pursue a specific job opening. Now, tweak for technology goes for using technology to enhance your resume. As I just told you, there are many resources on the internet that help you develop good CV. They are paid and unpaid as well. Both you can pay to get a good CV made for you by experts, and you can get it free with the help of different guidelines that different websites offer, like about.com or the other one that we just talked about. So you can do that by going over to the internet, searching for a good format that matches your requirements and needs, and take time to do that. The more your CV is well written, the people will understand that you have taken out time to do that and you have pursued this job and this shows that you are passionate about it, and this will be a plus point for you to get a good preliminary interview. Use a resume template. Use a resume template as a starting point for creating your own resume. Add your information to the resume template, then tweak and edit it to personalize your resume so it highlights your skills and abilities. Now, there is a resume template or resume wizard in the word processing, that is Word 2007. You can use that. We have a professional, chronological and or contemporary CVs there. They have many templates. You can choose any one. It offers you a choice of many different headings, out of which you have to choose the ones that you need. And you can personalize your resume and highlight your skills and abilities with the help of this. One resume template was the one that we just discussed from the website that I told you is a very good resource for developing good resumes. Email your resume. When you are sending an email resume, it's important to follow the employer's instructions on how to submit your cover letter and resume. A resume is always accompanied by a cover letter, and cover letter will be our next lesson that we discuss. The employer may want your resume attached to the email message and sent in specific format, typically as a Word document or a PDF. Now, this is important. Whatever instructions you've been given regarding your CV being sent to your employer, you are supposed to follow those very, very strictly. And if you are asked to send it in a PDF form, do that. If you have to send it as a Word document attached with the email, you can do that. Or sometimes printed forms are required, that to 1 or 2 copies, not just one, more than one. So be very careful that you follow all the instructions. And it's always good to keep one copy of your resume handy with you. Both printed and your resume should be emailed to yourself, and its copy should be inside your mailbox, so that wherever you are you can get it printed, or you can even send a copy in the form of an email to anyone who requires it. Send your resume as an attachment. When you apply for job via email, you may need to send your resume and cover letter as an attachment. It's important to send your cover letter and resume attachments correctly to include all the information you need so your email message is read and to let the receiver know how they can contact you to schedule an interview. Here's how to send your resume and an attachment. Now you can go back to about.com guide and find out these details, but what you have to do is that you have to send it as an attachment. Don't copy or paste it in your mailbox, in your message compose box. You always have to send it in the form of an attachment or a PDF document or Word format, but only when you are applying through email. Sometimes in Pakistani scenario we see that most of times we are applying for a job through mail. So आपको कभी post करना होता है अपना CV तो वो printed form में होगा, लेकिन कभी email भी करना पड़ता है. So it's good that you have it handy. Review resume examples. Before you start work on writing or updating your resume, review resume examples that fit a variety of employment situations. Then select a style and format that best highlights your strengths and achievements. Now, this is a very good way to start writing your resume. Once you have developed your resume, always go over and look at example resumes. You can find countless many examples on the internet. People have given their sample resumes to be looked at free on the internet. So look at them and see what changes can you make to make them look more interesting, more attractive, more passionate, and more specific. So going through any resume examples that you find would definitely help you come up with a very good interactive, very good interesting and attractive resume that would definitely earn you a good interview. Now in the end, we move on to discussing a no work experience resume example. At your level as a student, you might not have any work experience and you may need a lot of help in developing a resume that does not contain any professional work slot. So let's look at this resume and see how it is written and what are the skills that have been highlighted. It's just a 2-page resume. A very good layout has been followed. There are proper headings and boldface and bulleted points and some highlighted areas, and very communicative phrases have been added. Small sentences are there, and to give you a clear idea what the resume is about. And this of course catches more attention as it's very brief and people can quickly go through it and try to contact this person for an interview. The name of the person is Suzanne Gracia, Oaks College, Box 100, University of California, Santa Cruz, and the zip code is given here, and then they have their phone number, detailed phone number with the codes, and their email address as well. That is the professional email address as a student. Now this information is very important. This is called the contact information, the beginning of your resume. We have the objective to obtain an internship that will enhance my skills in the community service field. Now they need an internship and they need to enhance their skills in what community service field. So they have Suzanne Gracia has very communicatively, very specifically highlighted 3 important parts of her objective: that she needs an internship, she needs to enhance her skills, and that too in community service fields. So this is a very good example of a very communicative, very specific objective. Then she mentions her education, Bachelor of Arts, her major subject is psychology, and expected graduation is June 2004. It means that she hasn't graduated yet. She is a student. She is studying for her BS, and she is studying for a BA in psychology, and she will be done with her graduation in 2004 June, and from University of California, Santa Cruz. Qualifications summary: ability to write clear, comprehensive and grammatically correct documents, demonstrated skill in managing change and maintaining flexibility in a variety of challenging environments. Now these are very general qualifications that she has. She can write clear, comprehensive, grammatically correct documents. She can demonstrate skills in maintaining flexibility in a variety of challenging environments, experience in using library and the internet to locate, retrieve valuable information for both academic and community service projects. That means she's very good at searching for good information on the internet. Ability to work in diverse teams and to communicate well with others. Now she has an ability to work in teams as well. Experience in fundraising and recruiting volunteers for fundraising events. Now she has the fundraising experience as well. Now इसमें देखें आप किसी भी किस्म का कोई भी experience, कोई work related experience नहीं है. She hasn't actually worked anywhere. She is not professionally sound, but she has listed very clear qualifications, her skills basically, her achievements that she has. She can write very well, she can manage or maintain flexibility and change, she can use library for retrieving information, and she is able to work with diverse teams and communicate well, and she has experience of fundraising as well. Now what else do you want? You usually in young people, when you are asking for freshmen as an employer, you need these skills in them. They should be able to go for volunteer work, they should be passionate about whatever they are doing, they should be able to give more time. Because as young people you are so passionate about your work कि आप अपने सब काम छोड़ के आप उसी काम में लग जाते हैं. So young लोगों को लोग इसीलिए हायर करना चाहते हैं आजकल, because उनमें ये सब qualities होती हैं. Computer skills: experience with both PC and Macintosh computers, proficient in Word and internet applications. Now she is good at Word and she can use internet very well, and both PC and Macintosh computers she can use well. Pre-professional experience: now before going into professional experience, what is her experience? Now you can use this heading as a student. This is a very good heading for your resume, because this will give the prospective employer an idea that you have actually no professional experience, but you will definitely be termed as new fresh blood for their company, so they won't ignore your honesty. Leadership: volunteer to assist in an all-campus awareness campaign on violence against women issues, led group discussions at UC Santa Cruz on the pros and cons of various issues, teen intervention, abortion, initiated outreach to local migrant farm workers and their families to encourage them to attend higher education, and then move on to organizations. Now see, leadership is a very important skill when it comes to being professional or getting into a professional work environment. Now she is telling her prospective employer that she has been into activities that enhanced her leadership abilities. That was volunteer to assist in all campus awareness program on violence against women. Then she led group discussions at University of California, Santa Cruz on the advantages and disadvantages of various issues, and some of them were teen intervention and abortion and etc. इसके ऊपर जो discussions हुई, she was a part of it. And she led the group discussions. That means she was the one who was a kind of a mediator in those discussions, initiator of discussions. Initiated outreach to local migrant farm workers to encourage them to go for higher education. This again is very good for social work, in the social work framework. Now if any NGO reads this CV, they would definitely want this person to be a part of their organization. And the last, you can give a heading of organization: and compiled community outreach data into a concise report presented to the community awareness group at UC Santa Cruz. Now how you organize what you have done, that is also one very important part of your qualification. So that she did was that she compiled a report on the community outreach that she took part earlier in. Planned and scheduled sibling responsibilities when parents were working. Now this was this again is a very good organizational responsibility that she did, was planning and scheduling siblings responsibilities when parents were working. So when the parents were away, these students in the foreign universities usually are given such projects to work on and then come back and report on them. She was given this project maybe to look after some kids whose parents were working, so she planned and scheduled students siblings responsibility, that what one brother would be doing, what the sister would be doing, and how the elder brothers or sister would be supervising things. So when you divide these responsibilities among children, they get involved in these and they get busy and they don't feel that their parents are not around. Helped coordinate the Salinas High School food drive, raised $1,200 cash donations, distributed over 780 cans of food to local targeted population. Now this again is very good social work that she's done, and this it turns out to be a very good career oriented CV, and the person, before getting into any professional background, she has done so much. So you can imagine how people would want her to be a part of her organizations, their organization. So this was one example of a no work experience resume that you can follow. You can simply change this according to your name and all that. You can add more information, not just these headings. You can skip these, add more, but objective and education, qualification, summary, skills, these are supposed to be there. You can add your hobbies, you can add skills that you have. You have computer skills, you play soccer. If it's related to your job, you can definitely add that. So this was a no work experience resume only for you to help you make a very good communicative resume, and this definitely would be a very good resource for you to make your resume the first time ever as a student, and then later on definitely you can keep on changing and adding more information to it. Now just to review and revise what we did today, we talked about what a resume and curriculum vitae is. We discussed some tips and guidelines to writing a professional resume. You were exposed to a very communicative resume template that you can use to make a good communicative resume, very good professional resume. And then I showed you a no work experience resume sample that you can use to build upon your resume for the first time, because as a student you might not need a resume right now. After 1 or 2 semesters you might get offers of good jobs, or you might need to get some professional experience, or you might have to apply to various professional organizations. So by that time one very good communicative and effective CV is supposed to be ready with you, and this no work experience resume sample would definitely help you do that. So this was the end of lecture number 27. We'll see you in the next lecture. Thank you very much.